Today I'll be breaking down Retell AI. Fast, smart, and perfect for business builds. I'll show you the best settings, how to properly prompt, and even how to easily connect your Make.com automations. On top of that, I'll also show you how to make a real-time knowledge base. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Mekant and I specialize in creating AI voice agents and automations to help businesses save time and money. Now let's get into Retell AI right away. Now, as you can see here, we're in Retell AI. Simply going to click on login, of course, make your account, and then we are ready to go. Now, as you can see here, this is a very simple dashboard. You can see we have agents, knowledge base, phone numbers, everything. Now, some quick information. Analytics is where you can see all of the dashboard and all of the information about your calls and how they've been going. You can see here user sentiment. For example, are the people who are calling very happy or positive, or are they negative regularly, or what's the emotion that they have? Then we have knowledge bases here. You can upload your documents for knowledge bases, and you can make real-time knowledge bases. We're going to get into that later. Then a really important part here is agents and phone numbers. Now, of course, phone numbers, you can buy a phone number and then you connect it to an inbound or outbound call agent. Now, you don't have to verify it because it's going to cost you an extra 10 cents per outbound call. And, once the calls start to add up, that's going to cost you a lot. Now, over here, we have our agents. So simply click on create an agent. And we're just going to go with single prompt agent because it's very simple. It can be just these little templates, but let's just start from blank. Now, as you can see here, there's a lot of stuff to uncover over here. First of all, let's start with the prompts. Now, of course, before we do anything, let's rename our agent. We can just say, let's say YouTube video agent. And we say this agent tells you ideas on what to do with your YouTube. So as you can see here, we have this universal prompt. Of course, it takes up a lot of space, so it must be very important. Now, what this agent over here needs to do, we tell it what we need it to do through this universal prompt over here. Now, this can be very long or very short, but whatever length you put, you have to remember one thing. AI always works best when it has a role. When it kind of assumes an identity, then it works a lot better. Now, that's exactly what prompt engineering is. That's all it is. You just need to make sure that the AI that you're talking to, that you're interacting with, assumes a role and really believes that that is their identity, so then it can work harder to really prove themselves. Now here we can simply say you are an agent who works for a popular AI automations YouTuber. He needs help getting ideas for his videos. Now, as you can see here, I've changed quite a bit of the system prompt. Now, this system prompt, all you have to know is that this is simply its guide, its manual that the AI agent refers to every single time it has to make a decision. Now, we section it off so that the AI agent can really make it readable and go to the relevant section when it has to make a decision. We want to have these sections so that it's really readable, and we really want to exemplify that this is no code, it's very simple, anybody can do this. Now, I got this personally from ChatGPT. I didn't write it myself, but of course you can write it yourself if you'd like to. Now we're going to move on to different customizations and functions of the agent. Now you can customize this agent to be however you want. Of course, we are still kind of new to this space and this technology is still being developed. So we don't have all the languages in the world, but we have many of the more popular ones. As you can see, let me move my face. We have, for example, Portuguese, Russian, Turkish, a lot of things. Especially English and Spanish are the most popular. Then I would just say use GPT 4.0 or 4.0 mini for your model. 4.0 mini is best for really small AI agents. As you can see, there's a huge price difference here. GPT 4.0 is 5 cents a minute, while GPT 4.0 mini is almost a fifth of the price at less than 1 cent per minute. Now, if you want a complicated agent that's going to have to move through these different states of the conversation and it has to call these functions and it has a much more complicated workflow, then you probably want to use GPT 4.0. Now, of course, there's even more expensive models. It goes up from there. And you can use Claude as well if you'd like to, but for now, I would just say stick to GPT 4.0 or 4.0 mini for even simpler tasks. Now, the voice customization is also pretty simple. You can add your custom voice. You can either voice clone, which essentially you're just going to clone your own voice by simply recording yourself talk for a little bit, and then you're going to upload it and it's going to make a voice using 11 Labs. Or you can select any of these voices over here from 11 Labs, Play HT, or OpenAI. Now, usually I just use the 11 Labs for any customers that I have, and I find that is best. But if you want it to be very personal, then you can just clone your own voice. Now, moving on to some more advanced parts of our AI agent, we have the functions. Of course, in our system prompt, we're going to have to tell our agent to call the functions. Of course, over here, we just say process or conversation flow, and we could just simply say call function book appointment to book a appointment for the caller. Now, the functions are simply how our AI agent interacts with other technologies. Of course, you can talk to this AI, you can talk to ChatGPT, and that'd be very simple. But the whole point of an AI agent is that it has access to tools and it can actually take action rather than just spitting information back to you. Of course, in the functions, we can end the call, we can actually transfer the call to a higher up or the manager. And something I really like is that we can check calendar availability and we can book on the calendar. Now, this is very simple, but this only works directly through cal.com. If we want to work it with Google Calendar or a Calendly, any other type of thing that can't be integrated with cal.com, then we're going to have to use a custom function. Now, a custom function simply just calls your function that's outside of Retell AI. For example, make.com scenario or a Zapier automation, any type of webhook that you have that you can send data to, that is this custom function right here. So let's say we have a make.com scenario that we start off with a webhook trigger. So when we send data to this webhook, then we're going to check with ChatGPT, check with Calendly.com, check do we have availability for that time. Now, to send that data, we have to use our AI agent, and we tell our AI agent, use this function, use this custom function that we're going to tell the name of. For example, let's say book appointment. That'll be the name. And then description. This part actually really helps our AI agent understand what this function is for. For example, call this function to refer to our make.com scenario, which will tell you about the availability today. Then URL is simply going to be our make.com webhook or any other Zapier webhook, anything that you want, because we need to send data to this. Of course, we can call it without sending data, but usually we will be sending data because we need this custom function to actually be able to go through with our conversation. Of course, you can see here, this looks kind of confusing, but really all that matters is over here. Let's try this example 3. Yeah, it's simply under the properties of the JSON, you're just going to have every single object that you want to send to this webhook or custom function. And you can call it whatever you want, and you just tell it its type and what the description is, and then the AI agent will automatically kind of interpret that and then get this data ready for you in the right way and send it to your custom function. Now, as you can see, we have a bunch more customization that we can make to our AI agent. What I really like is this knowledge base right over here. I'm going to show you about how you can make a real-time knowledge base at the end of the video, actually. We have speech settings, call settings, post-call analysis. Post-call analysis is very important because you can simply add an object that every single call object will have, such as a summary. Of course, in your dashboard, when you actually start to use these AI agents, then every single call, the recording of the call, and the whole analysis of the call will be recorded on your dashboard. But also you can ask for specific data retrieval. You can use it to send to anything. Of course, we have security settings as well, fallback voice ID. Now, webhook settings, this I would say you should avoid because this is essentially the same thing as just making a custom function, but a custom function is so much easier, so much more readable as well. Now, background sound, this is actually a little bit of a funny one because if you don't want your AI agent to seem very AI and obviously like a robot, you want it to be very natural, then you can also add any type of background sound that you want. For example, coffee shop or maybe summer outdoor. They have a bunch of these things. And the responsiveness, interruption sensitivity. Now, a lot of these things are just fluff. They're already pretty well made, so you don't need to worry about many of these things unless you want it to have like a specific accent or talk in a certain way. But I would say one thing that you could want is this pronunciation. Now, if you are making this AI agent as an assistant or a receptionist for yourself, and you wanted to say your name correctly, if you don't have a normal generic name like John or Jack, Isaac, then you can just put down your name, you can give it the pronunciation, and if you don't understand this pronunciation format, simply put into ChatGPT and it'll give you right away, and just copy and paste it right here into this phoneme, and it'll immediately start saying your name correctly instead of butchering your name. Now, we're going to move on to the make.com integration, and we're going to actually add it into our function as well. I'm going to show you, I'm going to test it, and at the very end, I'll show you how to add the knowledge base. Now, as you can see here, we're here in make.com. Now, if you don't know what make.com is, it's a very popular software, SaaS, that you can use to make any type of automation. If you've heard of Zapier, which I know a lot of people have, this is essentially the original Zapier, and it's just like it. I would say make.com is a lot more easy to learn and easy to read compared to Zapier, because Zapier is a lot more dashboard and things like that. But in my opinion, this is the best one. So simply log in, and I'm also on the free trial as well, and it's amazing, but you don't have to worry about payment of anything so far because it's very simple. But if you're going to use ChatGPT in your automation over here, it's simply a no-code workflow, then you are going to need an API key, which is going to cost maybe $5. I bought mine for $5, and it's been very, very good. It works perfectly, and it's lasted me like a solid couple of months. So over here, I have a lot of scenarios, as you can see, but for this specific one, we're only going to be checking if we are able to book this reservation. Now, this over here, check availability, this is a pretty complicated scenario right here. This is a pretty complicated workflow. Now, all I am going to do is I'm going to explain how this works and kind of go over the surface of it, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I can have all of these resources listed down below in the Notion site on my templates, and you can simply paste this in right away to get started on your own. Now, this webhook is all you really have to worry about. Simply add your own webhook, and all it is, you name it, and it's going to give you this link. Now, this link is what you're going to paste over to our custom function in Retell AI. Now, this link is simply just, think of it as a post office. You can simply send mail, send data to it, and that's it. Now, what happens is we use this data and we pass it into ChatGPT, you can see over here, and we tell ChatGPT, convert this time into the correct time for us to check with Google Calendar. Now, the correct time, the format is going to be a really confusing format called ISO something something, but it is pretty readable. Like, if you just look at it for a little bit, you'll immediately understand what it means. But since we're working with a lot of data here and we're just working with a bunch of platforms, automation, we have to have every single data point, data entry, in the format that it needs to be in. If we have it in the wrong format, then you're not going to get the correct results. As you can see, this Google Calendar node is simply going to check at this time until 60 minutes later. So our reservation or our appointment, do we have availability at that time? Are we available or are we busy? Now, this availability node is simply like an if statement. I know you guys know if statements because everybody knows them. If they're available, then we're simply going to send the webhook back, which means our agent called the custom function and sent data to our post. Now we're going to send post back to them and say, yep, we're available, go ahead and book it. And if we're not, then we're simply going to move over to Google Calendar and get free or busy information about the next couple of days, which just means take a snapshot of our Google Calendar for the next couple of days and find some availability. Then we take all of this, we convert it into a JSON format, which is readable by ChatGPT, pass the ChatGPT, tell it to convert it into the GMT+7 format, which is readable by ChatGPT, but we need that so we can actually book it on Google Calendar. And we're going to find the alternative times. It's essentially just a snapshot that's taken. For example, we have availability tomorrow at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Anytime in between that for a quick 30-minute, 1-hour consultation is amazing. And then we're just going to send a message back. So essentially, when you have a webhook as a custom function that your AI agent in Retell is going to send data to, we would love to send data back because we need to tell this AI agent whether it was successful or not. And I'll show you a very important thing in Retell AI that's going to help you understand this a lot better. Now, of course, essentially all this does is it's just going to call this and check, are we available at that time? It says yes. If we aren't, then it just gives us a couple alternatives for the AI agent to suggest. Now, before I show you how to actually make this work with Retell AI, I'm just going to show you how you can simply take what I have over here and paste it into your Make.com scenario right away. So all you have to do is you click on this little three dots over here and click on Import Blueprint. Now, it's going to be a .json file, and I have this file, which is just this template, all of it, linked in my Notion site down below. Of course, it's for free. Everything is for free. The system prompt, I'll also have that linked. And you're just going to click on Import Blueprint. You're going to upload the blueprint, and it's going to immediately have all of this over here. Now, something you have to know is that all of this is going to have my credentials. It's going to have my name, and it's not going to have your Google Calendar. It's not going to have your ChatGPT. It's going to have mine, which is why you need to change it to your own. And to do that, you're simply going to go click on these. You're going to click on Add Connection, and you're going to add your own connection. Because, of course, you won't be able to access my Google Calendar or my ChatGPT API key, but it won't work right when you import it because you have to add your own credentials. Just wanted to let you guys know everything is for free. Just check out the Notion site down below. Now, let's move back to Retell AI so I can show you how to actually use this custom function. Now, as you can see in Retell AI, all you have to do, as we said before, is click on Add, Custom Function, and let's call it Check Availability. This function will check availability with our Google Calendar Make.com integration. Now, the URL over here is simply the post office, as we said before, that we're going to send the data to. You can see here, it's simply this webhook. Just copy and paste this link over here. I have it copied. We put it back into our URL. And if we want to send data, or if we just want to call it to trigger another function, then that's also okay. But here, since we're going to use this to book our appointment and actually check availability, we want to send it data. So here we have some examples. We could just say that in the properties we want requested time, and this will be a string. This will just be the time that the caller has requested for an appointment. Now, this is the time that the person who's calling has asked for an appointment, and that's all that we really need. We could also say, just put a comma right here, just copy it, paste it. We could say that we should also give the time, actually the day, let's say requested day over here. And instead of time, we'll also tell it the day. So we can just pass it, and then it's just going to come through as requested time is 9:30 a.m. Requested day is Thursday. And all that you have to do over here is format the JSON, then it's going to save. You can have these speak during executions or speak after if you want, but in my opinion, it's not really that helpful. But speak during execution is pretty helpful because it's able to actually say something, and that is going to tell you while you're testing it, of course, that this function is actually running. Now, while you're testing it, something really important here is instead of using test audio, use test LLM. Now, test LLM is amazing for testing. It's actually going to show you the functions being called, what data it sent, and what data it got back. Of course, you can go to make.com and you can see the scenarios being run. You can see all the data that's going through it. But if you're having a bunch of errors, it's best to go through here and go through test LLM, because that way you can actually see, oh, this is being tested. This is what's going wrong because it's sending that it wants this time, but that's not the same time as what it actually wanted. Then you can debug from there. All you have to realize is that this is no code. It's very simple. And if you have any questions, make sure to go down in the comments. I respond to all of them. Now that you know how to make your own agent, let's lastly go over the knowledge base and this really important part that we can find on the multi-prompt. Now, let's go back here. You're simply going to click on knowledge base. As you can see, I have some over here. This was just an Excel file of a bunch of homes, and this was just one for a restaurant. Now, as you see, we can click on add knowledge base. You can call it whatever you want. Let's say real estate, or actually let's say dentistry website knowledge. Now, of course, if you're going to use this AI agent sort of like an assistant for you or a receptionist, you'd want it to know some basic things that can be found on your website. Of course, if the people who are calling haven't seen your website, then they wouldn't know that information. You can add text like this, or you can also just simply upload any documents like a business statement, capability statement, or what's amazing about this here is that you can actually add your web pages and it will stay up to date on your website. As you can see here, if we do something like https://bestinfunding.com, then we can see that it's just going to ask us to select the sitemaps. It finds all of the kind of pages on your website, and you click on it, click save, and make sure to check this so that it can actually restudy it every single day. And if you updated anything, then it will of course restudy and renew its information. Just click on save, and then you have your very own knowledge base right there. Now it's simply uploading for a little bit, then we can go back and we can just simply call our knowledge base right away. Let's say we have this agent over here, go to knowledge base, add the knowledge base, and you can choose from whatever you want. Now, we're going to go over multi-prompting. Multi-prompting is a very important part of making a better AI agent, especially if you want this AI agent to be kind of like a do-it-all type of, let's say, personal assistant. Not just an AI agent that can just send emails based on what you want, but an AI agent that can send emails, make YouTube video ideas, send follow-up, also answer calls for you. Anything like that is pretty complicated and it's going to fall under the multi-prompt agent type. When you click on create an agent here, if you want a more lengthy, a better complex AI agent, you're going to have to use multi-prompt agent. Now we have some templates over here such as the dentist rescheduling and lead qualification. They seem pretty complicated, but of course we have other ones as well. I would say just start from blank because I'm going to show you what really matters here. Oh, this is not the right one. No, create an agent, multi-prompt agent, start from blank. As you can see here, this seems pretty normal, just like the agent we had before. So you might be wondering, Mecca, why is this different? Now, what's different here is actually the prompt tree. Before, we didn't have this prompt tree. As you can see somewhere. Okay. Now, this prompt tree is simply like a tree from top to bottom, from one state to another of the different states during the flow of our conversation. Now, of course, if you have a really complicated agent, then you're going to want kind of little mini prompts as well that the agent can follow when it's going through certain states of the conversation. You can call it whatever you want, let's say introduction, and this is an other prompt. This is a completely separate prompt, different from your master prompt, which we have over here, this one. Here we have our prompt tree. You're going to prompt it specifically for this state of the conversation. Now it's going to start on this one, and then you just simply make a new one. You're going to connect it, and that's all that this conversation states really is. This is fairly simple, but you're going to have to play around with it to understand a little more. Of course, test LLM functionality is actually really good for this as well. This is very helpful because it actually shows you the states that it's going through, and it shows you the function that it's calling. So if you just made your first agent right now following this video, and you don't even have a custom function yet, but you do have these type of states, you want more of a complicated agent. Let's say instead of new state _3, we have end follow-up, and we're going to say, oh, here, I would like you to send a follow-up to whatever person that I request you to. Now, of course, this prompt does not have to be as complicated as the one before. You can add any tools here, but remember, this custom function cannot be the same name as another custom function. So for example, if you're using any of these declared functions over here, then it's the same thing. It's going to come up either here in your function states, or it's going to come up in your functions list. Conversation states, my bad, your flow tree. Of course, this is very helpful because we can actually see kind of a little bit of how this AI actually talks and how it interacts, what it really deems as the conversation flow, and how it moves from one state to the other, kind of the states of the conversation. So this is very helpful when you're making a more complicated agent. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. As you can see, we made our first agent. We were able to connect it to our Make.com scenario, and we were able to learn a little bit about how Retell AI and AI agents, voice agents specifically, of course, work with different conversation flows and how they kind of interpret a conversation moving to the different states of it. Now, if you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, comment with any questions. I respond to all of them. I actually also offer a free consultation, 30 minutes. I've helped so many people, so many of my subscribers who were a little bit confused, and I've helped so many of them. Quick 30 minutes, we're able to help you right away. And make sure to use the link in the description to be able to book your free consultation right now, completely free.